What did your roommate from hell do to earn their title? My college roommate ran out of pot, so he tried to boil down his bong water to hash in my microwave using my Tupperware. The residue ended up fusing with the plastic at the bottom of the container, so he scraped it out with a razor blade and smoked a big bowl of plastic and bong water concentrate with the windows closed. Is he dead? More importantly, did it work? Smoke in that microplastic pack. Literally murdered a man at my house. I had to testify. Had a friend come home to his roommate chopping up another roommate over a PS4. Here's a link to an article about it. PS4 murder. This is also ducked up. Sheriff Lemma said the case reminded authorities of the 2004 murder of 6 people and a dog who were bludgeoned to death with baseball bats and stabbed in Deltona, Florida, in a dispute over an Xbox. 6 people. Someone bludgeoned 6 fucking people over an Xbox. 6? I mean, 6. I just can't wrap my head around that. Edit, yes, and a dog. I lived within 5 minutes of that house when it happened. And I still am around there now and then. The story is still very well known, obviously. The city may have a lot of people, but not a lot of stories. And the ones we do have, are bad. Edit. Really at the right spot, within 15 to 20 minutes you can drive from the spot of the Xbox murders, to where Trayvon Martin was murdered, to Casey Anthony's house. To name a few. Don't forget that you can go a few more miles and be at the happiest place on earth. Sometimes I wonder about Central Florida. He would always leave his dog for too long and she would shit on the floor. It was an old dog and I'm sure at one point it wasn't an issue. The problem was this guy didn't even try to do anything to fix the issue. I'd get home from work every day and walk into a house that punched me in the face with shit smell when I opened the door. We talked to him about it over and over again and he'd just blow it off. What did he finally do when he got fed up with us complaining? He put the dog down. We just wanted him to maybe come walk her while on break at work. His job was 5 minutes down the road. I can still feel the tension in the room when we found out she was gone. We had a horrible centipede problem at one of the apartments I lived in that came about suddenly. They were in every single room, including the bathroom and my bedroom. I would wake up to find multiple right above my head or next to the light switch in the bathroom. My fear of centipedes was already one step away from being a full-blown phobia before this. Neither of my roommates cared even in the slightest bit because they were both disgusting human beings, so one day I told the one whose father was the landlord that I was calling an exterminator and billing her dad if she didn't take care of the issue by the end of the day. Within an hour I got a call from her saying that she found the centipede's food source, a buildup of maggots in, around, and under her cat's food dishes. She took just as bad a care of her cats as she did herself, and this was the result. She did not euthanize her cats, thank God, but they had been really sick for weeks, and she refused to take them to the vet until she found the maggots. Sometimes, in summer, my cat's leftover wet food from last night would get maggots. You better believe I chucked that shit out quick. Leftover cat food? My cat's Duck and Garfield. He'll devour anything in his bowl within a minute and then prowl around eyeing us and calculating whether he could take us and eat our supper. Fucker acts like he's starving yet he's fat as hell and gets 2 half-cup meals a day. I love that spoiled bastard. I served my cat 3 different food options yesterday and she barely looked at them, let alone sniffed. We found her favorite brand of food today at Target. She ate it all immediately like she hasn't eaten in weeks. Granted, she didn't eat like it all yesterday. My cat would rather starve than eat something she didn't like. Chugged 34 a bottle of vodka and shat on my bed while I was away for the weekend. Did you ask them not to shit on your bed? Yeah, you gotta have clear boundaries set up or else you're the asshole for getting mad. Not super terrible, but we went to a party, he got drunk super quick and saw some people he didn't want to be around and walked home. About an hour later me and my other roommate headed home too. When we pulled into the driveway we saw lights on in the living room, which quickly went off. When we got inside we saw a massive person-sized hole in the hallway wall into the bathroom. Our roommate was pretending to sleep and when we asked him what the duck happened he said someone broke in, didn't try to steal anything but just busted a hole in our wall, from inside of the bathroom into the hall I should add, then slipped out the still locked back door. They didn't see him laying on the couch at all either apparently. Edit, dude was a compulsive liar. My favorite lie was that he had his whole head tattooed to look like a skull but it faded so no one can tell anymore. In my younger years I had a friend who was 80% cool and 20% crazy as shit. That 20% believed aliens try to contact him from their ship and that he was in a bloodline of ninjas. He was obsessed with ninjas. One night we were watching that Speed Racer movie and he got really upset at the scene where John Goodman beat up a bunch of ninjas. So upset that he left the room and then punched a hole through my bathroom door. He actually tried to pretend it was an accident, like we didn't all just watch him storm off before hearing a loud bang. I had a boyfriend in high school. He was absolutely convinced Terminator was looking for him. I remember him shaking anxiously telling me he could sense Terminator was nearby, then he rode off on his stupid little moped. Lol. That's pretty. That's a lot. My friend would just casually mention it in the same way some people believe in ghosts. But having that kind of paranoia to the point of physical anxiety is another level. Do you know if he ever got help or is even still alive? He got terminated. He'll be back. I had roommates that were Seventh-day Adventists and would eat my food. They said they were not allowed to eat pork, so I started buying only lunch meats that obviously contained pork, but they still ate it anyway. Well, at least they'll go to hell for it, right? Stas don't have a traditional sense of a torturous hell. Hell is just death sleep. Also, the meat rules, guidelines, are more out of a sense of health kosher traditional than a sin. She stole my underwear, wore them, then reported me to our boarding school for having personal inappropriate underwear when I confronted her for stealing them. She got in trouble for theft, but I still got in trouble for having clothes outside the dress code even though I threw them out after I saw them in her dirty laundry hamper. Excuse me, but how the duck does underwear get on a dress code? Why were you in trouble for having underwear that they didn't approve of? Seems slightly inappropriate to say the least. I attended a very strict boarding school where we were only allowed 3 sets of personal clothes, including bras and underwear, stored at school for special occasions until we reached the 9th grade. The school issued everything from socks to winter clothes to each student. Even the personal clothes had to follow the rules of no skulls, no inflammatory messaging, no age-inappropriate underclothes, no intentional holes, stains or rips, etc. The dress code was meant to stop 8th grade girls from running around in Victoria's Secret bombshell lifting bras under those ripped side t-shirts, with lace thongs showing above Daisy Dukes, and 8th grade boys from running around with the Hegao hoodies. Ada, my mistake, those came later. At the time it would have been oversized puff coats with fur trim, over the police shirts with paisley print boxers showing above torn jeans. This aren't random references, they included photos of specific prohibited items. I went from 2007 to 2012, 7th grade to graduation, and man, that was a wild era for kids' fashion. Holy duck, my life was so easy. What the hell, this is insane. My roommate masturbated on the only dry towel in the bathroom, so when I took a shower I wiped his jizz all over myself while I was drying off. Duck dude, so simple but easily one of the worst here. University. One roommate moved out, switching with this weird Russian without telling me. Guy ended up being some sort of gun runner. Got arrested, hung himself in jail. When I went in his room after, he had pictures of all the university's female athletes on his walls, but had cut all their eyes out and had shot them with a BB gun. Perfectly normal, perfectly healthy. I once had a roommate who kept cranking the temperature way up. I'm talking like 28 degrees Celsius or 85 Fahrenheit. The landlord kept coming over to turn it way down as he was paying the bill. This meant we had the landlord coming over basically every day for a month. Finally he turned the temperature to a very generous 22 Celsius, set up a lock box to cover the thermostat. My roommate came home, got wasted, took a hammer and smashed the box to pieces and turned the temperature up to 28 degrees again. This by itself was just mainly amusing, but he also was stealing my stuff, borrowing money without paying it back, and hosting late-night dance parties to Nelly Furtado music. He claimed he had never used a vacuum in his life and didn't know how. One time he put a frozen pizza in the oven together with the cardboard. I smelled burning and raced downstairs to remove smoldering paper from the oven before it caught fire and burnt our house down. I asked him what he was thinking and he said that's the way we do it in Spain. No shame, no apology. I lived with a Spaniard who also had very weird habits. He had honestly never cleaned or picked up after himself once in his life. Edit, some of you asked, so we'll give Son more info. He was 26 and had always lived at home with his elderly parents until he came to Baltimore to attend medical school at Johns Hopkins University. Lived with him for a year. Dirty as hell but nice guy. Towards the end he was making some progress as far as keeping common areas clean. Mofo never wore deodorant though and was quite musky from riding his bike everywhere. Never stopped him from dating some very pretty girls though. He was balding and gap-toothed, so me and our other housemate wondered what they saw in him. Edit 2. Since a couple more people have asked, he was empathetic to our frustrations with him. He admitted that his mother had cleaned his room, done his laundry and made his bed for him until he left his hometown for the United States. I don't want to get more specific about where Hess from because I could potentially dox him.